Wow. Thank you so much. To come here really feels like I've come full circle, you know, being born and bred in Norfolk and now having the opportunity to come back here, you know, after my life has changed so much, really is a fantastic opportunity. So thanks to Rob for organising tonight. Thanks to you all for coming out and braving the cold weather. This is a little overview about what I want to talk about today. I thought I'd start off with a bit of a background about me, a brief recap of the seasons 2007 to 2009, then look at this year in a little bit more detail with all of its ups and a few of its downs. Then go into lessons learned, you know, offer you some of the tips that I've picked up and I've learned along the way, mainly related to training and nutrition. And I'll touch on a few of the other things as well. Then I'll just finish off by describing how I feel my life has changed since becoming Triple Ironman World Champion, and really what it means to me to be able to use the platform that I now have. So a bit of background about me. As you know, I was born and bred in Norfolk. Actually, I was born in Bury St Edmunds, but we don't really count that. I moved to Feltwell as soon as I was a day old and grew up there and lived in Feltwell until I was 18, and in fact my parents still do. So I'm very much Norfolk born and bred and proud to say so. I did a lot of sports at school. I played netball, I did cross country, and I swam for the local club, which many of you know, Thetford Dolphins. This was probably memorable because it was a place where I had my first kiss rather than for any kind of swimming prowess. I never really fulfilled what might have been my potential at sport. I was always much more focused on achieving my academic goals, and sport was something that I did kind of recreationally, and because for me it was really social, and it was opportunity to see my friends and have a huge plate of fish and chips after every gala on a Saturday afternoon. After high school at Downham Market, I went to university at Birmingham, where we did swimming and kissing in equal measure. But I was captain of the university swimming team, which involved training once a week and going to the university sports night on a Wednesday. So once again, I didn't really fulfill my sporting potential, but I did focus again quite heavily on my academic goals, and it was really important to me to achieve what I wanted in my degree. During the holidays at university, I went to work at a day school in Boston in America as a swimming teacher. And it was there when I was teaching a group of autistic children to swim that I really realized the power that sport has to make a huge difference in people's lives. Not only was it incredibly satisfying for me to be able to see the change in these children, but hopefully it was a positive influence on them as well. So yeah, it was really back when I was 18 that I realized that sport has incredible power to make a very positive difference in people's lives. After university, I went traveling. Originally, I was only supposed to go for 9 months and was going to come back and train to be a lawyer in London. I came back 2 years later, broke and determined not to be a lawyer, but to work in international development. I did my MA at the University of Manchester in 2000 in development and economics. And it was really in Manchester that I started running again. I guess I gained a little bit of weight when we were traveling. I had what we call the Sydney injection, and you go to Australia and all of a sudden you've gained 10 pounds. Because of all the pies and all the beer that we drank over there. But I got back and I'd gained a bit of weight, and I started running to lose that weight and to regain some of the fitness that I'd lost while I was traveling. So I just started, as many of us do, with 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but me being an obsessive compulsive person, it soon increased, and I was doing 2 hours. and training in a very obsessive but unstructured and unknowledgeable fashion. But all I knew was that I enjoyed it, and I think I developed a love for running that I didn't know I had. After I graduated from university, I moved down to London and I worked as a policy advisor to the government on international development policy. I loved the job. It was fantastic to work with ministers and to negotiate through the UN new environmental policy. The highlight was probably the government sports day, where we were unsuccessful in the first round of the Rounders tournament and made it to the second round of the tug of war. But while I was working for the government, I continued running, and I decided I wanted to fulfill a life dream of running the London Marathon. So I entered the marathon, took a charity place, and set about training myself again in a very unknowledgeable fashion for the London Marathon in 2002. And I ran that, and I did that in 3:08, which for me was a huge surprise. You know, I never thought I could, you know, probably run sub 3.5 hours. So to do 3:08 was a real achievement for me, and once again it cemented my love for running, but also a belief that I perhaps had a talent for endurance sports that I should pursue. So I joined a running group under the legendary Frank Horwell that trains a running group down at Battersea in London. And I set about training myself and under him for the London Marathon in 2003. But unfortunately, 2 weeks before that race, I got hit by a car and I damaged my quad quite badly. And I couldn't run. So I started swimming again. And by the time I could run and my swimming had improved, someone suggested to me, well, why don't you try a triathlon? And you know, I didn't have a clue what triathlon even was, but you know, they said, look, give it a go, and I love a new challenge. So like all of us, I seized that opportunity, bought a third-hand Peugeot, which I still have in my mum and dad's garage. It looks a bit like a bumblebee. It's black and white, and you know, weighs as much as a car, but you know, it's still one of my proudest possessions. But I set about learning to ride that, and that was in 2004. And prior to that, I'd never even ridden a road bike, and I'm still not very good at changing the gears or applying the brakes. So in 2004, I did a couple of sprint races, Eton Super Sprints, which are fantastic, especially for first-timers. Not very auspicious beginnings. I was racing in my running shoes on the bike with, you know, just the normal pedals. The laces get caught around the cranks. I do an ungainly dismount into T2. That was the first race. Second race went a little better, except I forgot that it was a 2-lap run, so I run down the finish chute and someone says, oh, stop, you've got another lap to go. But luckily I won that race and won a silver kind of dog bowl thing. I don't have a dog, but you know, I was incredibly proud to win that race. I did a couple of other races, Bedford and Milton Keynes, and they went quite well. I think I came 4th and 3rd in those. But at that time, I decided I wanted to take a sabbatical from my job and get a bit of experience working in development practice on the ground. So I got a job working in Nepal, in Kathmandu. And this was a life-changing experience for me in so many ways. When I wasn't working managing water and sanitation projects out there, I was biking, and that was sport at its rawest. There was no training log, there was no training diary, there were no sessions. We just got on our mountain bikes in the morning before work and went up and went down quite badly. I don't descend very well, but going up I you know, was a little bit more successful at. And I developed, I think I realized then my capacity for endurance sports. So this is one picture from Nepal, the fruits of our labour, the water source on the left, and then after we'd worked with the local community to develop their water and sanitation system. But as I said, when I wasn't working, we were biking, and one of our expeditions was across the Himalayas from the capital of Tibet, Lhasa, over the Himalayas via Everest Base Camp, which you can see here, to Kathmandu, which was absolutely amazing, as you might expect. And that's myself and my friend Tina at Everest Base Camp. After Nepal, I took a long route home and went via Australia, where I went cycle touring around Tasmania. It's me on my bike carrying about 50 kilos. And that's just food in the back. I made someone else carry all the tent and everything. And cycle toured in Tasmania and Argentina, and came home in 2006. And it was then that I was really determined to have a go at triathlon, not expecting to turn professional, but definitely just to see how good I could be. So I borrowed a bike, the Klein, which again is in my mum and dad's garage, and actually bought some shoes and pedals, so I was advancing rapidly in my technological developments. The first race, Redditch Super Sprint, so it was May, it was pouring with rain, and I said to my mum and dad, come and watch. So they came. I'd borrowed a wetsuit. It didn't fit me. I got in the water. It was 14 degrees. The gun goes off. I try and swim. I couldn't lift my arms out of the water. I practically sank. I had to raise my arm, get rescued by a kayaker. They pulled me to the side, and that was the end of that. So it wasn't the most successful start to my triathlon career. Second race went a bit better. It was the Shropshire Triathlon, which I won, and that gave me my passport to the World Age Group Championships, which were in Switzerland, in Lausanne in 2006. So I got a coach, had a 10-week training program, and in September flew to Switzerland and raced the World Age Group Championships. It's me. In the GB vest. I was so proud to be there, and I never expected to win that race. But I think it was the margin by which I won that made me realize that I had a potential in triathlon that maybe went beyond age group category, and that I should actually consider going professional. But for me, it was a huge risk. I had a good job. I was back working for the government. I loved my job. But I'm the sort of person that never wants to think, what if? I want to take that chance, take that opportunity, and know that I've given it everything. So